Hey, my name's Sai. Just a quick little thing before this video gets started. I don't want to take too much of your time. More often than not, in maths, there's more than one way towards answering a question, especially when it comes to GCSE maths. Now, I've done my best to include as many different methods as I possibly can think of, so that hopefully you see the one that you've done, or you want to do, or you like. Now, that doesn't mean that if you don't see the method that you've chosen to use, or you've used a different method entirely to any of the ones I've shown, that doesn't mean you're wrong. It just means that maybe I don't know that method. In which case, feel free to drop a comment down below. Let me know how you did it, because I'm happy to learn as much as I am to teach. And on top of that, you never know, somebody else might read your comment and they might learn something from it as well. So we can build a little community down there where we'll just help each other out. Anyways, I just wanted to say that before the video starts. I hope this video is good for you. I hope it's useful, and good luck with your revision, or if you're marking your tests, hopefully you get a good mark. Yeah, enjoy.
Question number 1. Work out the value of 2 to the power 4. 2 to the power 4 is the same as saying that there are 4 2's all being multiplied together by each other. So you can break it down and do 2 times 2 is 4, and 2 times 2 is 4, and then 4 times 4, which is 16. Or you can do it all in one go. So 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16. Regardless of which way you choose to do it, for 1 mark, your answer is 16. Question number 2. Write 7.26451 correct to 3 decimal places. The key to this question is to not get confused with 3 significant figures. We are rounding to 3 decimal places. In other words, any non-decimal number we can ignore, and in this case, that would include our 7. Our first decimal number is 2, our second decimal number is 6, and our third decimal number is 4. We are rounding the 4. And to determine whether we round it up or down, we need to look at the number that comes after it, which is a 5. And based on this 5, we know we are going to be rounding our 4 up. So we can begin working on our answer, which is going to be 7.26, and our 4 gets rounded up to a 5. Question 3a, simplify 7 times e times f times 8. The first thing we're going to do is simplify our numbers. So 7 times 8 is 56. As for our letters, we can put them in alphabetical order. So E comes before F, and we can get rid of our multiplication signs. So our answer is 56 EF. Question 3b, solve x over 5 is equal to 2.5. The first thing we need to do is take our mixed fraction, 2.5, and convert it into a top-heavy or improper fraction. We can do that by taking our big number and multiplying it by our denominator, so 2 times 2 is 4, and then we add that to our numerator, which makes 5, and our denominator stays the same. We can then rewrite this question as x over 5 is equal to 5 over 2. And to solve it, we need to get x by itself, and to do that, we need to get rid of this divide 5. We can do that by multiplying 5, and then we do the same thing on the other side, and then that will give us x is equal to, so x is by itself now, our times 5 and divide 5 have cancelled each other out. And as for our right hand side, 5 times 5 is 25 divided by 2. We can leave that as our answer, or if you want to actually do the division, 25 divided by 2, you will get 12.5. Either of those will get you 1 mark. Question number 4, write 4/5 as a percentage. The first thing I'd like to try and do is to take our fraction, 4/5, and convert the denominator into 100. In this case, that's quite simple to do because 5 times 20 will give us 100. And then whatever you do to the denominator, you have to do to the numerator. So 4 times 20, and that gives us 80. Once you've gotten it to this stage, your numerator is your percentage. So our answer is 80%. There is another way you can try and do this question, and that is to do the division. So 4 divided by 5. If you're good at division, you can do this in your head. If you're like me, you might need to use your bus stop method or whatever written method you use. And we are going to be doing 4 divided by 5. How many times is 5 going to 4? 0, remainder 4. How many times is 5 going to 40? And that will give us 8. So 4 divided by 5 is 0.8. You then need to take this and multiply it by 100, which gives you 80, so 80%. The other way you can do this, and this is the final way that I can think of, is to just memorize it. 4 over 5 is one of those nice fractions that you can actually memorize, and you can convert it straight into 0.8 and 80%. Question 5. Work out 60% of 70. The first thing we want to do is take our 60% and convert it into a fraction. We can do that by writing it over 100, so 60 over 100. Now, I like to say of means times in maths, so if I write the multiplication sign there, we're good. And then 70, I'm just going to leave it as it is for now. The next thing we want to do is take our 60 over 100 and just simplify it a little bit. It's easy to see they both are divisible by 10, so let's do that. 60 divided by 10 is 6, and 100 divided by 10 is 10. And our times 70 for now stays the same. Some of you might realize that we can divide 6 and 10 both by 2, but I'm going to leave this fraction as it is for now. Instead, I'm going to focus on the 70. We can rewrite 70 as 70 divided by 1. 70 divided by 1 is the same as 70, so it's up to you which one you want to use. But I'm going to use this one for now because it means now I'm timesing two fractions together. Before I start multiplying anything, we can cross divide. What I mean by that is opposites in multiplications when you're doing fractions, you can simplify. So 6 and 1, if they have any common factors, we can divide them. They don't, so we're going to leave them as it is. 10 and 70 can both be divided by 10, so I'm going to simplify that. 70 divided by 10 is 7, and 10 divided by 10 is 1. We're now doing 6 times 7, which is 42, and 1 times 1, which is 1. 42 divided by 1 is 42. And that goes on our answer line. The other way you can try and do this question is to take your 60% and convert it into a decimal. We can do that by dividing 60 by 100, which gives us 0.6. You then take this decimal, 0.6, and multiply it by your number, which is 70 in this case. At this point, once again, you can choose how you do the multiplication. I'm just going to use short column method, so 0.6 times 70. 0 times 6 is 0, 0 times 0 is 0. Put another 0 here in the next line. 7 times 6 is 42. Carry the 4. 7 times 0 is 0, plus 4 is 4. We then need to add these two, so obviously 0 plus 0 is 0, 2 plus 0 is 2, and 4 plus nothing is 4. Our original numbers had one decimal, so our answer is going to have one decimal, and once again, we've got 42. Question 6. Sammy spins a fair four-sided spinner. Part 1. On the probability scale, mark with a cross the probability that the spinner will land on B. If we have a look at the spinner, there is one section labelled A, there are 2 labelled B, and there's 1 labelled C. In total, there are 4 sections, so 2 out of the 4 are labelled B. If we simplify that fraction, we can divide top and bottom by 2, so 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. The probability that it will land on B is 1/2. So on our little scale, we can put a cross where the 1/2 is. I'm not very good at that, but that's where you're going to be putting a cross. Part 2. On the probability scale, mark with a cross the probability that the spinner will land on F. If you just take one quick look at the spinner again, you can see that there is no section labelled F, so there is no chance that the spinner could possibly land on F, as it doesn't exist. So we can just put a little cross over here at 0. Okay, question number 7. A bit of a longer one in terms of words, but don't be scared. Just because more words doesn't mean it's a harder question. Fahima buys 2 packets of bread rolls costing £1.50 for each packet, 1 bottle of ketchup costing £1.60, and 3 packets of sausages. Fahima pays with a £10 note and she gets 30p change. Fahima works out that 1 packet of sausages costs £2.30, and the question is Fahima right? Well, for starters, I'm going to ignore that last sentence. Fahima works out that 1 packet of sausages costs £2.30. We can worry about that right at the end once we've worked out some numbers. So, first things first. She buys 2 packets of bread, which I'm now going to... So, for bread, I'm going to use B. So, 2 times B for bread. She buys 1 packet of ketchup, so I'm going to use K, 1 times K. and she buys 3 packets of sausages, which I'm going to refer to as S from now on, and she pays with a £10 note. So if we add up all of this, well, we're not going to get £10 because it says that she gets 30 pence change, which means all of this, if we add up all of this here, we are 30 pence short of £10. So if we add the 30 pence, we now should get £10. I hope that makes sense there. So 2 times bread plus 1 times ketchup plus 3 times sausages plus 30p gives us £10. Now let's substitute some numbers in. We know the cost of bread, it is £1.50, so I'm going to put that in there. And yes, I'm going to stick with pounds for now. Plus 1 times ketchup. 1 times ketchup will cost £1.60. And 3 times sausages, well, we don't know what that is, so I'm just going to leave that as it is. And then our plus 30 pence, which is equal to £10. Cool, nice. Let me just simplify this left-hand side because it's getting very messy over here. So 2 times £1.50 is the same as £3 plus 1 times £1.60. No, I didn't have to write that, but I'm taking things very slow at the moment. I'm going to put the 30 pence next. And then I'm going to put the 3s right at the end just before our equals. And I'm going to get rid of the pound sign for now. Cool. So if we look at it carefully, we can just simplify this. £3 plus £1.60 is £4.60 plus 30 pence is £4.90 or 4.90 plus our 3s is equal to £10. All of a sudden, this is looking very easy, very nice and very simple. Not as complicated as we had up here. If I now just subtract £4.90 from both sides, because I want to know what S is, so I need to get rid of this, and I'm just going to get rid of that by minusing £4.90 from both sides. We will get 3s by itself. The £4.90 will cancel out with the minus £4.90, and the £10 minus £4.90 is the same as £5 and 10 pence. I can do that in my head. Now, as for the next step, we have 3s. We want to work out what just one sausage costs. So what I'm going to do is divide both sides by 3. So we can get the cost of just one sausage. Now, this one I'm not going to do in my head. I'm not that confident in my division skills. So feel free to skip ahead if you want to at this point. How many times does 3 go into 5? It goes in once with a remainder of 2. 3 goes into 21 7 times with no remainder, so £1.70. Okay, so we have now 1 pack of sausages, it costs £1.70. So if I can just put the pound sign back, that's fine. And now we can go back to answering the question. Fahima works out that 1 packet of sausages costs £2.30. Well, is she right? No, she's not. Fahima is wrong, as 1 pack of sausages costs £1.70. Question 8a, work out 5 over 8 times 3 over 4. Now, this is my favorite type of question because it's a very simple and it should be realistically one easy mark for you to get. All you need to remember actually, when you're timesing fractions, numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. So in this case, 5 times 3, which is 15, and 8 times 4, which is 32. And the last thing we can do is just check, can we simplify this question? I know the question doesn't ask for it, but I like to do that. And the answer in this case is no, there are no common factors, so we can leave it as it is. 15 over 32 is our answer. Question 8b, another fraction question. 2 over 3 minus 1 over 4. Now with this one, we have to do a few more steps. Whenever you're adding or subtracting fractions, you must have the same denominator before you can do anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the lowest common multiple between 3 and 4, which in this case happens to be 12. So I need to convert the 3 into a 12 and the 4 into a 12. So I'm going to focus on 2 over 3 first. And the only way to manipulate fractions in this sense is by timesing or dividing. So in this case, I'm going to times my 3 by 4, which means I also need to times my 2 by 4, which gives me 8 over 12. And that's my new fraction. As for 1 over 4, 4 times 3 is 12, so I'm going to times that by 3, and I'm also going to times my numerator by 3 as well, which will leave me with 3 on the top and 12 on the bottom. Now, rewriting this question, we can now write it as 8 over 12 minus 3 over 12. Now that we have the same denominator, we can keep this denominator within our answer. And as for our numerators, we just minus them. So 8 minus 3 is 5. And once again, we can just double check, can we simplify 5 over 12? No, we can't in this case. And so that is our answer, 5 over 12. Question 9. Sean works for a company. His normal rate of pay is £12 per hour. When Sean works more than 8 hours a day, he is paid overtime for each hour he works more than 8 hours. Sean's rate of overtime pay per hour is 1 1/4 times his normal rate of pay per hour. On Monday, Sean worked for 10 hours. Work out the total number of money Sean earned on Monday. So there's a few bits of key information here. So the first one is his normal rate of pay is £12 per hour. The next one is when Sean works more than 8 hours, he's paid overtime for each hour he works more than 8 hours. So each hour for more than 8 hours. Sean's rate of overtime pay is 1 1/4 times his normal rate of pay per hour. On Monday, Sean worked for 10 hours. So we're looking to work out how much he got paid for 10 hours, basically. We know for each hour he works for 8 hours, he gets paid £12 per hour. So the first thing we can do is just work out how much he got paid for the first 8 hours, which will be 8 times 12. And that gives us £96. So for the first 8 hours, he got paid a total of £96. For the next 2 hours now, it's slightly different because he didn't get paid the normal £12. He got paid that plus his overtime pay. In order to work out his overtime pay, we're going to need to take our 12 and multiply it by 1 1/4. If we can do that and we can work out what this is, we know how much he gets paid per hour for his overtime. Now, there's a few ways we can do this. If you can do it in your head or if you have it memorized, you will know that 1 1/4 is 1.25. If you don't, there is a way you can work it out. The first thing you can do is convert this into a top-heavy fraction. So we can take my 1 1/4 and say that 1 times 4 is 4, added to 1 is 5. So our top-heavy fraction is 5 over 4. And then you can just do the division. So 5 divided by 4. How many times does 4 go into 5? It goes in once, remainder 1. How many times does 4 go into 10? It goes in twice, remainder 2. And how many times does 4 go into 20? It goes in 5 times with no remainder. So once again, 1 1/4 is equal to 5 over 4 is equal to 1.25. So now that we know that, we can work towards multiplying this out. So 12 times 1.25. And then obviously you can use your whatever written method you have. I'm just going to do it over here. So 12, and I want to put the 1.25 there. 5 times 2 is 10. Carry the 1. 5 times 1 is 5. Plus 1 is 6. And now next line down, so we put a 0. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 1 is 2. The next line down, we have to put 2 zeros. 1 times 2 is 1. 1 times 1 is 1. And then you just add them all up. So 0 plus 0 plus 0 is 0. 6 plus 4 is 10. Plus 0 is 10. So carry the 1. 2 times 2 plus 2 is 4. Plus 1 is 5. And then the 1 down here. So 1,500. But we have 2 decimal numbers in our multiplication. So 2 of our numbers here are going to be decimals. So 15. In other words, he gets paid £15 per hour for his overtime. We know he's worked 2 hours. So if I take my overtime pay and multiply it by 2, he's got paid £30 for the 2 hours of overtime that he worked. Now, altogether, we know he's worked 10 hours. So for the duration of 10 hours, we will need to take our first 8 hours, £96, and add it to our 2 hours of overtime, which will give us 126. So now I know for the full 10 hours, he got paid £126. Number 10, a farmer has 20 boxes of eggs. There are 6 eggs in each box. Write as a ratio the number of eggs in 2 boxes to the total number of eggs. Give your answer in its simplest form. Okay, so it looks like we have a sort of ratio question here. So key bits are a farmer has 20 boxes. There are 6 eggs in each box. Write as a ratio the number. So we're looking for the number of eggs in 2 boxes to the total number of eggs. So we want eggs in 2 boxes to total number of eggs. That's the ratio we are looking for. So he has 20 boxes of eggs and there are 2 eggs in each box. So first of all, we can work out the total number of boxes, total number of eggs. That is 6 times 20. There are 20 boxes and each box has 6 of them. And then the number of eggs in 2 boxes is quite simply 6 times 2, as 2 boxes and each one has 6 eggs. So doing the calculation, 6 times 2 is 12. So we can put that here. 6 times 20 is the same as 6 times 2, which is 12. Add a 0, 120. Now, if you look at it, it's actually a very simple simplification. We can just divide both sides by 12. Divided by 12 there and divided by 12 there. We will get 1 to 10. That is the ratio in its simplest form, 1 to 10.
Alright guys, that was the first 10 questions of this exam paper. The total number of marks up for grabs was 21. If you managed to ace these questions and you got 100%, you've already achieved just a little over 1/4 of all the marks available for this exam. If you haven't, don't worry, there are still 59 more marks to go. So I hope to see you in the next video where we finish off this exam paper.